Welcome back to Doctor Who, Series 2, Episode 12. It's not written down in Doctor Who. Army of Ghosts, and Episode 13, Doomsday. Where today, once again, I am joined by my brother Caden.
Hello.
And we are here for a special, the final episode of Series 2. Yeah. I've got the Series 3 thumbnail already. I've got that sorted. But yeah, the end of an era. The Rose's final story, which is normally would be a spoiler, but I'm pretty sure, again, the first line of this episode is, "I'm Rose Tyler, this is a story of how I died." So, you know. And probably some other stuff. So it's I was gonna say it's the end of the first like Doctor companion duo, but no, you had 9 and Rose. That just shows how much they're the same person in my head, like all of them. But yeah, if you don't, well, first off, Armies of Ghosts, of course, is well, in order to describe it, we have to look forward a little bit. So you won't know this. But in the 50th anniversary, one of the 50th anniversary specials, the amazing The Five-ish Doctors, it has cameos from, among many people, Russell T. Davies, who was not the showrunner at the time. Of course, that'd be Moffat. But also Peter Jackson and Gandalf, right? And so... the reason that's done, of course, is in order to get Russell T. Davies in to do the Doctor Who special, he mandated that they get Peter Jackson, director of Lord of the Rings, and Gandalf, because, not Peter Jackson, Russell T. Davies is a huge Lord of the Rings fan, of course. It's like his biggest passion. He's well known for it. And so this episode, Army of Ghosts, is basically a tie-in to Lord of the Rings, where in the third movie, one of the guys, Aragon, I think, he's the guy that the D&D Rogue is based off of, not the discount Jack Harkness. But he basically gets an army of ghosts because he's like King of Gondor or something, I don't know. But as I recall, clearly being the expert Lord of the Rings fan that I am, I mean, almost as big a fan as Russell T. Davies, I believe that's a little disappointing. Some people were underwhelmed. So he basically just rewrote the battle from Return of the King, I think it's called, as the Lord of the Rings expert I am, just with the cooler army of ghosts. And I'm curious how much of that anecdote you think is true. I'm like, down yeah.
Having also never partaken in any of the Lord of the Rings media.
Well, I've seen
today's.
Okay, to be fair.
Today's recap.
Yeah.
Can't say it hit home with me.
Well, there is a Doctor Who special called The Five-ish Doctors, and it is fantastic. Made by Peter Davison, the 5th Doctor. Genuinely, especially if you've seen Classic Who. I've never heard someone who hasn't seen Classic Who, but is like one of the most amazing self-referential fun things. And like the 5th, 6th, 7th Doctors play characters of themselves. It's basically about the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors trying to get a part in the real 50th anniversary.
That's pretty funny.
But no one cares about them because they're like the uncool old doctors, you know, they're not cool anymore.
Yeah.
And they're all upset that it's just David Tennant and Matt Smith who are, you know, the cool ones, the only ones people care about. And it genuinely does feature Peter Jackson and Ian McKellen as Gandalf on the set of The Hobbit. Because the 7th Doctor at the time was playing one of the wizards in The Hobbit. And he makes a big deal about it the whole time, how he's part of like a movie directed by award-winning director Peter Jackson. It's amazing. Well, we might watch that at some point on the stream. Because it's genuinely amazing. Doomsday, of course, the obvious summary would be to pretend it is about somebody named Doom, and it's just like a totally normal day they're having.
That's the obvious route.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing, though, is that as part of the 60th, I know another special, they actually did a multimedia spin-off thing called Doomsday, which was about an assassin named Doom, and there were like 24 installments. Each was an hour in their day where they were going to die. And apparently it wasn't very good, and basically no one consumed it. So I really don't have anything for this one.
That's a season of a show.
Well, they kind of invented this character called Doom. Like, it was made for the thing.
Uh-huh.
But, like, there wasn't really any reason to engage with him. Like, it was kind of a story that existed for its own sake, and apparently, which isn't necessarily bad, but, you know, when there's so much Doctor Who you can consume, like, you kind of have to pick and choose, and,
yeah.
When, you know, when it's already across, like, audio and book and a bunch of random things, and apparently they were all, or I don't know about all, but at least the majority of them were kind of, like, mediocre, average Doctor Who stories, and let me know if you want mediocre, average Doctor Who stories. Big Finish has, like, hundreds of those, and they're actually voiced by the original actors. Don't get me wrong, Big Finish has a lot of great ones, too, but they also have no shortage of, like, just fine stories.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're doing today, 10 minutes into the stream, dang it. Start recording.
Oh, good catch.
I'll probably re-download this one because they missed all the good jokes. If you don't know what we're doing, we are not just summarizing Doctor Who episodes perfectly. We are basically creating an audio commentary track live. So for legal reasons, you know, I can't just stream an episode of Doctor Who, audio or visuals, so I'll play a blurred episode in the background. But it is bring your own video. In a little bit, we are going to do a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. On go, everyone's going to hit play, and then we'll be synced up. This is a bit of a problem when it comes to Doctor Who specifically, because of reasons that would take far longer to explain than just, like, mucking about and ruining the retention time of these streams. There are basically two, look, there's a lot of simplification here, basically two versions of Doctor Who. There's the American broadcast, what we'll call the American version, and there's the original UK broadcast version. They're the exact same episode, except the American version is about 4 times slower for, I'm just going to assume, colonial reasons. I don't actually know why the frame rates are different, but I'm going to assume it's something to do with colonialism and, like, British superiority.
A safe bet.
It could be American superiority, but, like, everyone else uses the American standard. It's unique to the UK, the British one. But most streaming services should have the US version, like German Amazon does, and, you know, if German Amazon says so.
Yeah.
I should really look up where the frame rates are standard, and if it's also the case in, like, the EU, then this is probably true. If you're watching it live, that's what we're doing. Always forget this part. In the description, there might be a link one day to the other version. It'll tell you which one you're watching. But yeah. Then we banter a little bit so people can get set up. In case you're wondering specifically, I am watching the American release, the Region 1 release of Season 2 from the complete David Tennant Collection Blu-rays. I actually have banter for today.
Ooh.
Because I've mentioned we were watching, my wife and I, have been watching some Sailor Moon every now and then, because they really like Sailor Moon. And last episode, well, not, one of the ones we watched recently, I was like, they'll have to remind me, because I wanted to tell Caden about this one. Sailor Moon, in case you don't know, is an anime, so it's animated. This is relevant. So in this episode, right, there was like 2 animators. They're making an anime in Japan. They call it anime, which is probably how they say it in Japan, but it was really weird. But anyway, they're making this anime, and the villain kind of comes and gives one of the animators, like, they make their pencil magic. It's in the 90s, so it's hand-drawn animation. They basically make their pencil magic, so they're really good at art, but they kind of become evil. I'm sharing the simplified, you know, like everything you need to know. Just this is a thing the villains do. It happens every episode. It's a very formulaic show. But anyways, the animator was sad because they thought their friends' animations were a lot better. And I'd like to point out their friends' animations that they look is like a thick notebook just full of like individual poses of this one character that like look individually well. They're not cohesive. It's not actually like, you know, individual frames. So either that's how they're animating, or this movie they're making needs like 10,000 like just random poses for promotional material. None of them are colored in, so it wasn't just sketches. Basically they get there then with their magic pencil, and the boss calls them, and it's like, man, like I'm loving your work. Like I can't wait to see what you do for the final scene, because you know this animator's been given charge of the final scene, and they're like, oh, don't worry, they're on the phone, I'm miming this, they're like, oh, don't worry, I have amazing plans, I'm gonna kill Sailor V, who's like the main person in the movie. And then like when they're on this phone call, literally every animator in the whole studio is watching this phone call, and they all gasp, and the manager guy's like, what? You can't do that. So none of the animators knew what was happening in the final scene. And evidently the manager also did not know what was happening in the final scene. She responds by going, well, I've been put in charge of the final scene, so what I say goes. And everyone kind of freaks out because Sailor V is going to be like killed in this her main like movie. So I turned to my wife, who's, you know, likes animation, likes art. I'm like, so this is how animation works. You have like 50 people, 50 animators, all working on the individual sections of the movie with no script, no coordination whatsoever. And like they have dictatorial control. Like there's nothing the manager can do. They can't move them up to a different scene. They can't fire them. They can't go, no, I'm the manager. And like, doesn't matter what they draw, they're gonna release the whole movie like that. And this is how the animators of Sailor Moon chose to do this story. And I found that hilarious.
Oh, I see. I thought we were making our way towards comparing how Sailor Moon's animation studio and the episode works to how any one of the Doctor Who showrunners.
It is Japanese. Maybe that's
I thought
just
you were
how
gonna
they
be
do
like,
it. No.
I thought you were gonna be like, and that's how Russell T Davies writes his story arc endings.
No, maybe if we were in the Chibnall era, that's how we do it. But no, I just thought that was like such a ridiculous setup for like, you know, the people in the animation business. It had to have been a joke on the inside. Yeah, and it turns out in the end that the friend also used the special pencils because these the pencil they made magic was actually like a special pencil, and they both thought the other was better, and it was an animator, and it was a happy ending. I assume Sailor V didn't die in her own anime.
We can only hope.
Yeah, I don't know if they finished it. So there's 15 minutes of the Doctor Who prelude. That's what people want, I assume, when they come to hear Rose Tyler die. Well, you know, the story of how she died.
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about Rose Tyler's departure?
I remember the big white wall, but I don't know what that...
Yes, it took me a second. I was expecting you to say a different scene on a beach. I'm like, a wall? What?
Yeah. And I think this is Cybermen, but I don't really know. But I think we talked about it.
I teased when we were leading into the 15th Doctor's first season that I was prepared for an abysmal Russell T Davies finale, which of course we got. Probably the worst finale he's ever written is what we got for 15 Doctor's first season. But you know, you were complaining about some sort of contrivance or like oddity. I'm like, oh, Caden, you ready for contrivances or plot points that don't really make sense? You ready for why I saw Bring Death to Death and just go, yep, Russell T Davies wrote this finale, everybody. Yeah, because don't get me wrong, this is pretty good. It's mostly you could nitpick some elements of the plot, and then there's one element that just doesn't really make sense. That's kind of the level we're going for. We're not at Empire Death yet. We'll never reach that. Russell T. Davis is a big fan of Deus Ex Machinas. Even say season 1 was like basically God powers come and save the day. Which is a funny phrase, Deus Ex Machina, because I kind of know what it means in the context of storytelling. I've never actually seemed to be able to translate it for some reason, or like find the origins of the phrase.
Yeah.
Looking online, which seems like it should be easy.
You'd think.
Yeah, maybe someone in the comments will tell me. Like it weirdly seemed like it almost didn't mean anything, but I know Deus is like God. I don't remember. But he also likes buttons that save the day. Those are kind of his two big things.
I mean, who doesn't love a big button? Yeah.
I'm not sure if this one has a big button. It's got some big levers, so maybe he was still trying
Well, okay.
Yeah.
We're still... I like a big lever.
But we'll keep an eye out for buttons that save the day, and then gods just coming and making things better.
Yeah, eyes peeled. Roger.
I almost just started playing the episode. As I said before, I think it's time to get started. We will do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. This is Army of Ghosts. This is the first one. And before I start, I know, in case you drop off early, but like after this point, the next episode is not Season 3, Episode 1, Smith & Jones. Because some streaming services lay this out really stupid, Amazon. But the next episode, the order they came out, is going to be the 2006 Christmas special, The Runaway Bride. You should be able to find it wherever you're streaming. Even if you have it on like Blu-ray or DVD, it should be in the same case. They didn't start splitting them out that early, I don't think. So next episode, well, it's Doomsday, but after Doomsday is The Runaway Bride, and then it's Smith & Jones. And we'll be doing The Runaway Bride next week. Countdown time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Just important. I got like halfway through season 7 before I realized there were Christmas specials not being displayed. Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah.
Rip. My mom, that was exactly my mom and I's reaction originally, like, 15 years ago, because we were building up to her departure, so we kind of knew, you never know if she's going to actually leave or not.
Yeah.
Because, of course, we were like 10 years late. We weren't reading any media or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happened, and we were like, oh. Because we both really liked Rose. It's really easy to really like Rose when you've never seen any other companion before.
Yeah.
And she is the only constant character throughout this show.
Baseline.
Yeah. I remember seeing a fun fan art. Like, I'd seen a few companions at the time, but it was the 10th Doctor in Rose, and Rose was just kind of like screaming like, Doctor! It was like, I thought I was special, because behind him was every companion from the classic era. It's like, yeah, there's like just the 20 women before Rose that if you kind of start here in the modern era, you're not, like, there are other companions, but still.
Yeah. Especially with the hint of a glimpse through, like, school reunion. Yeah.
And even then, like, they added a romantic element to Sarah Jane that wasn't really there, so you'd probably have the wrong idea, too. Although, to be fair, the 8th Doctor's semi-companion, Grace, that was the first kiss. Wasn't actually Eccleston.
Eighth's the one that only had the movie, right? I always got to remind myself this.
What?
Or am I wrong? 8th only had the movie, right? The best Doctor ever? Or which one's that?
He has a short, but yes, those are like his...
Okay.
The movies is only kind of a mainline thing. But, of course, he's got, like... He's the longest-running Doctor if you count the extended media.
Why does she have a backpack?
I feel like she's really painted all the walls, too. It's getting more colorful.
I thought that... Yeah, then last time we saw the house...
Interesting, because this is the last time you'll use the set. Have we missed an episode, or did they tell her that they just like mugged Elton and beat him up? Like, why is she so happy to see the Doctor?
Communicated.
I mean, you get some of the 10th Doctor audio stories. Oh, I know why she's so happy. It's plot relevant. But you get them where Jackie works better, like closer with the Doctor.
How would that possibly be guessed?
What, you think Granddad's like a abusive or something? I don't know.
No, he's dead, right?
Yeah, he's dead, but
yeah,
that's where we learn that.
Well, I'm banking off. This is confirming. I do know what this episode is, but I don't remember what happens.
That's good.
Why does it smell like someone lit a candle in my house? What's on fire? It smells good.
Well, if it smells good, it's probably not like a fire, you know. You rent the place. It doesn't really matter.
Just someone living in my walls.
Oh, maybe it's Granddad.
That kitchen feels so weird. We haven't
it's
seen
just
that kitchen
old.
like that.
Look, I know you were like a year old.
Well, no,
when this
like
episode came
like
out.
in relation to previous episodes.
It's the same kitchen, I'm sure. It's just maybe getting neater. Or... It's a decent effect, actually, especially for the time. I'm not entirely sure how they do that, because they're transparent, so it's probably not a guy in a morph suit. But it really feels like it should be a guy in a morph suit, you know?
I feel like it's probably... I mean, it's like a... Since it doesn't need to look realistic, they can kind of lean into the fact that they couldn't make it realistic if they wanted to. If that makes sense. So I feel there's probably no one there. It's
not
just
really.
Computer.
I mean, it looks like what it should be, knowing what the ghosts are.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a good effect. It doesn't look like a guy in a morph suit, but it looks like you would do it by putting a guy in a morph suit, except somehow it's translucent. So I don't know. If it's pure CGI, it's like the best pure CGI the show's gonna have for 20 years. There you go, in the left, in the brown suit, you have an actress who's going to become, is it Martha or her sister? Or cousin? I think it's her sister. Future companion Martha Jones. She's also going to be in the new Doctor Who spinoff, apparently.
Land of the Sea thing?
Yeah, playing a totally unrelated character.
Who on Doctor Who has had the most different people roles?
I'm going to answer that question, but can we appreciate... I love that dating show where the ghost wasn't standing down, he was just like awkwardly shifting. Hilarious. Most roles, David Tennant actually probably is in the running if you count like his extended media stuff before he became the Doctor. But I actually don't know off the top of my head. I know there's a lot of people in Classic Who played like random characters that come back a lot, but I really don't know. That makes sense, yeah. David Tennant, though, is going to have played a lot because, you know, he was a big nerd.
Yeah, I love
the
that
only
for him.
reason he stopped is he became the Doctor. So
there's glass walls in the house too.
I think they're called windows.
Well, they're inside. Why would you have a window inside? Changes. Makes it something
I'll have
else.
to see what you're talking about.
Maybe I'm crazy. Need a wide shot.
You know, I really respect Russell T. Davies for like keeping this continuity of all this weird stuff happens and humanity eventually just becomes like, yeah, Daleks, I remember them, you know? But I always think when Moffat came around, like, what the hell, you know? We forgot about that time everyone became ghosts, you know, despite the television shows where, like, ghosts were a prominent episode. Oh, there they are. Those are the glass doors. It's because it's an office, Caden.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah.
Glass pyramids.
Is that like a thing for you?
It is now. It is for this episode. I gotta keep my eyes peeled. See if they're keeping the continuity there.
What is this old-timey computer? That is not a new spectrometer.
It's just been through it. You know, it's a little dirty.
My wife has given me dog.
Oh, dog.
You want to say hi, comment? Well, he's going.
As talkative as ever.
This is actually an interesting blend of technology. It is kind of retro. Oh, it's probably just because it's 2006. Like, it looks futuristic if you were in 2006. But I was thinking, nowadays you get all this future tech, which is like super hyper futuristic. But even for Russell T Davies, it feels a little old for like the grimy aesthetic he goes to. It feels like 20 years out of date. Oh, yeah. Pretty sure he could touch it. This spoilers. This ball bothers me though because it's supposed to be like nothing. The guy was saying the scans can't get anything from it. I think it would have looked so much better if it was just black. Like, don't put the brown shading on. Have it be 3D, but just have it be pure black. I know a screen can struggle to render pure black, but still, I think it would have looked so much more otherworldly.
Like uncanny, yeah.
And that's real, because that's what they're going for. Everyone treats it like it bothers them to look at. And I'm like, yeah, just make it black. I've never seen a black sphere be over-designed before, but there you go. That's not Martha, right? I haven't seen Martha's season in so long. Oh, no, it is Martha. That's right. Yeah, no, that's future companion Martha Jones. Not the character, but they say it's a cousin or something when they cast her later. So is she in the spinoff?
That is familiar.
Freeman.
What?
What'd you say?
This guy's gonna get kaputs. He's gonna get... Something happens. Something bad. I feel it.
Yeah, no, she actually is gonna star in the spinoff as someone who is totally unrelated to Martha Jones, because Russell T Davies loves reusing actors. He does. I mean, the next actual companion in the real life is one of the random people from Boom.
There's a director who makes a lot of shows on Netflix of the same horror variety. I can't remember his name, but he reuses his main cast in like every show, and it's my favorite thing to watch.
We'll have to see if it works for me, but the fact that I just can't stop seeing Martha here, I really don't know how she's gonna work in like a unit role. I don't know. We'll see if it works.
I think being within the same universe makes it interesting.
I don't have a problem with reusing the actors, but like you wouldn't use like David Tennant for someone who's not the Doctor.
Yeah.
Right? Because it'd just be weird. Or you'd have some plot reason, like maybe it's a Time Lord who regenerated into David Tennant. And I kind of feel the companions are that big where you don't reuse them. I've never understood that, right? Like, of course you're not afraid of no ghosts, but you're gonna be put in a scenario where there are ghosts. So, like, how do you deal with fear when there are ghosts around?
Well, that's what the song's really for. It's to let you be introspective and think about
Well,
what you'll
because,
do.
like, there are ghosts. But, like, I know you're not afraid of no ghosts. Who's afraid of there not being ghosts? But you gotta deal with a ghost, so are you gonna be afraid of that?
The philosophical song.
Man, I can't tell if you're rolling with it or just not getting the joke.
I think I'm yes,
God,
Andy.
David Tennant didn't like it.
That's a disgusting backpack.
It's supposed to be alien like the TARDIS.
It is very.
Do you think you could have
fleshy.
bought that in like 2006 for
I would.
3 months? Also, we were talking about something else, but the Doctor thing gets horrific with all the jokes coming back. We're approaching the episode The Lazarus Experiment, which is one of the anti-immortality episodes. So I now have to point out, all the hypocrisy in your, like, immortal, regenerating being. Just being like, nah, you should die, but not me, though.
2 earpieces. Oh, high tech.
That's how you know they work in an office. I've got 4 when I program.
Oh.
Yeah. Need both eyes and both ears. What is the technology in this episode? It is a little...
Yeah, it's it looks like
It's
it
odd.
looks like a bug.
See, this is the Jackie I'm used to. Like, not the one that kisses the Doctor.
She was so happy just a little bit ago.
Does it matter? I've never got this, right? So why does it matter if she doesn't come home?
Oh, yeah.
Is it just I want, like, 2.5 kids for my child? Because...
I think I get where she's coming from, this motherly desire for, my little baby,
I don't know.
But I don't agree with it.
She's not human. Like, I have some problems with it in general, is like a generalized statement. But this show is all about, like, every regeneration you get, like, oh, we all regenerate, we're different people throughout our lives. Like, why is Jackie? Yeah. Jackie, we saw you in the 80s at your wedding. You were a different woman, What's that?
How'd they know they were going to catch one?
Glass pyramid. He, like, scanned for ghosts or something.
Okay.
Sonic can do that, scan for ghosts.
All right. I'll bite.
We're still, I think, a little ways away from the Sonic becoming a little too, does everything. There's a look. Should have done that for the thumbnail. I want a version of this episode where he has the Children in Need 3D goggles from that time Doctor Who had a 3D special, so they're Doctor Who themed goggles. You get a 12th Doctor episode where there's a bus with an advertisement for the season of Doctor Who that they are filming.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's heavily obscured, but it's there.
Two big levers.
I could actually see Russell T Davies doing it, where the Doctor, like, lands in a world where they just watch Doctor Who, like it's on. You get the Spaceballs scene, where they're watching the movie as it's happening.
There's an episode of Supernatural where they, like, get put into a world where Supernatural exists, and they're just their actual actors, but they're also the characters.
I feel like it wouldn't work. I'm sure it wouldn't work if Russell T Davies wrote it for Doctor Who. It might work for Supernatural. I don't know that show, but I feel like it's just too much for me. Like, for the 40th episode, 30th anniversary or something like that, they go to when the first episode of Doctor Who aired, and they have a TV that's like, and now for like the new science fiction program from the BBC, Doc, and then the scene cuts, and I hate that scene. So a whole episode that's just that sounds awful.
It's a fine line.
No, it's a solid concrete wall 5 feet thick, with like a small peephole you can wink through, but like only barely. That's what it is. I'm a big proponent of the fourth wall. I get cold easily, so I need them. Oh, is this the first Alonzi?
Alonzo.
That would be cool, but you know, it's so unlikely. I don't think you'll ever meet an Alonzo. Perfect opportunity. There's like 10 Big Finish stories between this takeoff and this landing with Jackie Tyler, I'm sure. Wait, is this the unit theme? I feel like that's the modern unit theme, but this isn't unit, so who knows? So we're like half the women he takes. Actually, there are a lot of kidnappings. Ah, Barbara. There's one woman. All the others I can think of are men, so... Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Didn't we establish there's like a force field around the TARDIS already? Or is this what establishes...
Look, as the 7th Doctor knows, sometimes you forget to turn on the safeties or scan, you know? So the 7th Doctor dies because he stepped out of the TARDIS and was shot by a gang. He's a victim of that gang violence. Well, that led to his death. So it's kind of funny that the Doctor would, like... I've never been shot stepping out of a TARDIS. Hold on. This is like every dream David Tennant had before he became the Doctor.
This is what he envisioned. He asked for this scene.
He did. He's like, if you want me for next season, I need this scene. You know I've had men before. Yes, that's how I'm going to phrase it. I like the idea that Torchwood probably knows about Rose Tyler. I guess there was Love and Monsters where, like, she was wiped from databases or whatever. But I was going to say it's funny they'd know about Rose, but not Jackie. You know, I've never really appreciated either, but that's such a, like, 90s monitor for the TARDIS. Blue tinted, very low definition.
I'm excited for the day when we get to your favorite TARDIS, because I still quite like this classic one.
Right about where things start going downhill, but we'll get there. I never thought about it, but that would imply Torchwood has, like, an American presence. But it's, like, it's British. Very firmly.
Yeah. I could see them having British spy bases.
Also, I'd like to mention, we mentioned Roswell, so I'd like to bring up the opportunity that we almost certainly know what the Roswell crash was. And in brief, it was a spy weather balloon that was a top secret program at the time that has since been declassified and, like, matches perfectly with the Roswell thing and makes sense. You know, I'm realizing the first episode of Doctor Who, or first season rather, was kind of its own thing. But then the second episode, the second and I think third season might have like set up spin-offs each. So that might be worth thinking about with Russell's new seasons coming up. Also, good on Torchwood not going metric. The Imperial is the superior system. And I genuinely mean that. Maybe between episodes we can have that argument so people get a break.
It's an interesting take. I don't think I've ever heard anyone stand so strongly by it.
I will convince you that the Imperial system is better, and I will do that in between episodes. Nobody sees.
No one's looking at that.
Oh, that's Jackie Tyler. That's Rose's mom. She got de-aged in the time vortex.
They just picked her up earlier in time.
I've just realized they got the classic hat stand. It's a little dirty, but the hat stand by the TARDIS is from the classic era. It's like secretly a gun or something. Don't worry about it. At one point, the TARDIS explodes, and a companion picks that hat stand up and shoots someone with it. Yes. And it is literally never explained whatsoever. Treated if it's anything odd. The audience is, I guess, just meant to assume that naturally the hat stand was a weapon the whole time.
The Doctor said when he stepped out of the TARDIS just now that he doesn't have a gun, and that makes him better.
Well, it's not a gun; it's a hat stand.
No, silly. It just works like a gun. Okay.
Yeah. It's more explosive than a gun.
Common mistake to make.
I'll show you that scene at some point. It's a good thing no other Torchwood, ever dealt with the Doctor. This is always a bit of a weird thing for me, too, is, we're regularly kind of seen or implied that the royal family is aware of and loves the Doctor. There's an episode where, he implies he's going to have tea with the Queen. The Queen seems to know him by name. But also, the royal family has declared them an enemy of the crown. You think one of them could be like, hey, this whole Torchwood thing, let's not. You know?
Friends close.
Once he married Queen Elizabeth, you think that he might ask for that, you know?
Part of the agreement.
So it'd be great if it was black. I like that, actually. Something that makes everyone want to run and hide, but the Doctor's fascinated by it, especially 10. That's just his MO. I can see it, though. It's reflecting.
I like your idea.
Oh, there we go. It wasn't too bad of spoilers. Also, that's a nice bald white man working that control.
Oh, I peek at him.
I'm just gonna point I'm gonna point that out for later. You know. Look at him. Looks like Nicholas
pretty
Briggs.
shiny.
Yep. Definitely white.
Definitely bald.
It sounds bad, but it's gonna be relevant later.
Oh, got it.
This might be the first reference to parallel worlds we get. Oh, no, we have the Cybermen episode.
Yeah.
That's a funny coincidence, isn't it? But of course I've met the devil, and he lives somewhere very different. Is it jiggling? It is.
Yeah.
That guy sounds familiar. No, it's not. I thought he sounded like the modern master, the new master, but then we saw him, and I'm like, oh no, that's not. That is not Sacha Dhawan.
Such a such a funny thing to put in the scene like that.
Oh, we're getting an amazing scene. Might be the start of next episode. It's also been parodied in a fantastic YouTube video called The Bitch Fight of Canary Wharf. Thoroughly recommend you give that a Google once you're done with this episode.
Second earpiece installation.
Yeah. Well, that's how you get the nose one. They replace your nose with an earpiece. Yeah. Just so you get that authentic, like, Xbox Live feel of someone really breathing into their microphone. Oh, you haven't mentioned it. Maybe that means you can't hear it, but can you hear, like, a really loud hum in the back of this episode on my stream? Because once again, I'm joined by multiple industrial-grade dehumidifiers. My wood is wet, so we gotta dry it.
I think so.
Cool.
No.
Maybe that's the candle in your bedroom. Don't think about it.
I like how they put the Doctor's TARDIS, finally, here in the flesh. Just put it in the corner over there. Yeah, let's set it down somewhere.
Well, I mean, you want it somewhere convenient, because you can use it for storage. Also, this is, now that you're kind of bringing it to attention, the lamest Indiana Jones archive I've ever seen. The spin-off Torchwood base is so much better. As you can see.
Big white wall.
Yeah.
I remember it.
Yes. We are money. I wonder where all that money goes when Torchwood, like, collapses. Does the UK just suddenly have, like, loads of money that's never explained? Maybe that's where UNIT got their budget.
Yeah, we got some money for you guys now.
Well, naturally.
Dude, Britain's always up to something like this.
It's kind of funny to think of a truly independent Britain under the EU. Let's just ignore that fact. That's step 2. Reminder, it's 2007. Very destructive demonstration.
He had to make a point.
You think I want a future episode he just pulls glass out of his jacket and, like, shatters that. Oh, wait, no, he does do this thing before. He's like, it works so well in Love and Monsters, I'm just gonna not care. Remember, we were saying that was weird because he, like, never really does it.
Which moment?
Remember when he goes to the mom, it's like, can we see your daughter? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Although, I still don't think he does it again. It is odd that it's just, like, these 2 episodes. Maybe they tried something and they didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, as I said, it would kind of stop being cool if it happened often. And twice in a row feels like a little much, you know? See? She agrees. The government? The government knows about Torchwood, I'm sure.
Probably. Some of them.
Well, yeah, not like every clerk in the government. Once you get any government position, even if it's janitor, they just hand you all the
Gotta
files.
fill him in.
Yeah.
Because he can appear
Just
anywhere.
in case.
He usually appears in janitor's closets.
If the president dies, you still need the nuclear launch codes, like just in case, you know? So everyone's got to know them. You know, we have so many nukes. And last I was aware, it's like a 4-digit code. They might have beefed security, but do you think there's a point where we have so many nukes we could just try, like it's 4 digits, so there's like 10,000 combinations. You just try one combination for each nuke, and like you launch one of them, you know? Maybe that's the strategy.
I feel like it should be at least 5 digits.
It used to be. Oh no, it used to be 8 because what?
I like that more.
I know the one of the original codes for ages was 000000000 because the military wanted it to be as quick as possible to fire the nukes, and that's of course the biggest concern. Just in case you forget, there's a sticky note next to the button. I'm not even kidding. It was a massive scandal.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
This is comforting information to learn.
Well, to be fair, after that, they were supposed to change it because there was an inspection, and they were like, hey, this maybe isn't good. But, you know, what a lovely black bald man operating that control.
Hey, you know, sometimes people go on break.
Maybe it's Michael Jackson. It's on break. He got a tan, is that what you're saying? In London?
Well, he's off on his 15 for lunch, and someone else is tracking, and you can only operate those buttons if you're bald because of the tech. It fries off your hair.
A lot of work. Like, look he's doing a lot of work.
Yeah, he's so stressed.
He's pressing
pulled his hair out.
all the buttons and like rubbed it over his skin. It was dark hair.
Whoa,
yeah, that one got you, didn't it?
Okay, I get what
That's how I
mean.
remembered.
I get what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, he probably replaced him, but like, do you think they knocked him out? Where'd that other guy go? We never see him again.
Well, maybe it's true. Got a job at Torchwood Tower in the government somehow, specifically for that position. You know, just hoping
Mickey
to get
or
somewhere.
the other guy? Oh, I see. I always love that attitude. Like, yeah, might as well give it a go. Wonder if he could have claimed it was like his granddaughter Susan or something, like 2 Time Lords, you know. That's Romana, former president of Gallifrey. You know, she's regenerated.
Hate them, yeah.
Yeah. Never program your levers to move on their own.
Yeah, that's a horrible idea.
Why even have the lever at that point? Like, we learned, I'm pretty sure later, they're really difficult to force to move, I think. Yeah, look at that. So it's not a manual override.
Just might as well put a 4-digit code in there. Type it in.
No, it's a lot of programming. That's even more intense than when I work. You know, this is a much better Nothing Happens episode. Because I think the only thing that's happened in this story is we've learned about ghosts, we went to Torchwood, and now Mickey's here. Yeah. But we haven't really addressed the fact that Mickey's here. But it's, like, so much better than Fear Her. Well, she's not going to be in next season of Doctor Who. Definitely not. Wait, she is dead. We're going to have to remember that when Martha casually brings up her recently deceased cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. They never found the body. Place your bets. Who's they?
Daleks.
Oh, that's not important. I thought you said it was Cybermen.
It's always the Daleks. The Daleks control the Cybermen.
But Daleks aren't in the title. Okay, the Daleks control the Cybermen is when we know Doctor Who's jumped the shark. There's actually only... Okay, there's more than one. But so far we haven't had the Daleks and the Cybermen in the same episode.
Yeah.
Okay, it's making metal noises. The sphere's emitting stuff.
I wonder why they put in the scene where we saw it.
Mickey?
I mean, I get. No, the scene where we saw the Cybermen earlier in the episode. Because if they didn't do that in this moment, you might have.
When did we see the Cybermen?
When?
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, like in the start of the episode, they let us know. But this could have been more suspenseful.
I was looking out for it. I didn't see it. No, I get why they showed us the Cybermen. But I'll explain later. But there's a scene with one of the ghosts. I was looking for it. Where, you know, they have the little wibbly effect around them. There's a scene where the wibbly effect turns a straight line and basically turns it into that, like, helmet thing they wear. And it's a real, like, you know, the handlebars?
Yeah.
And it's a really cool, subtle hint they give. I think it might be one of the TV sections to kind of be like, oh, it's a Cyberman. I think another reason they might show the Cybermen is because, as we've established, literally nothing is going on. In a good way.
Bit, yeah.
Like, it's still enjoyable. Now, as always, the Cybermen are impervious to bullets. Because heaven forbid someone who can be shot invades Earth. It's the second. Cyber Controller is what it's called, Mickey.
A secret Dalek.
A secret Dalek. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. It's Aragon. This is where the Lord of the Rings comes in. I think it's Aragorn. Wait, since when have Cybermen had, like, pew-pew laser guns?
They got new systems upgrade.
Did they have guns before, like in the parallel universe?
I don't think so.
They touched people, yeah. Like, I think Cybermen have guns in the future. Wait, no, Cybermen actually have guns. Like, you know, big metal guns. But now I'm really trying to remember how Cybermen weapons work. They're stepping on the grass. Can we also appreciate how quickly what I assume is like the head of London's police force, like got that meeting organized?
Not only that, but decided, yeah, they're probably fine.
Well, to be fair, it's been happening for months.
Yeah, but now there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Weren't you white? What happened? He was my brother. What happened to him?
That is quite a collar on that shirt Mickey's wearing.
It's like the promo art of Eccleston where he's wearing a turtleneck. I showed you that, right? It's the Ninth Doctor in his outfit.
It was uncanny. I hated it.
Except it's a turtleneck, so it takes you 15 minutes to figure out what's wrong.
It was awful.
It's just so un-Office, you know? Like, it's peak Russell T. Davies. Just, like, backrooms vibes.
I quite like it.
Oh, yeah, but I think there's some places where it doesn't work as well. Maybe I'm just used to, like, the spin-off Torchwood set, which is so much cooler and so much more, like, dingy, this is where we house the aliens. I'll show it to you, yeah, in the break.
It kind of worked best. I agree. When we were talking in the Ood episode, that was like everything. It made sense what they were doing there. All of it was perfect.
Even the Ood episode, there was a little bit of a complaint that like it looked like a 2005 mining operation, but by and large, it works very well. It was a nitpick in that episode. Oh, finally someone turned on the volume. You know all those sticky notes on the monitors in the TARDIS? Do you think those are the TARDIS passwords?
Oh, it did. Well, he did. Wait, he did turn on the turtleneck. The turtleneck wasn't activated before.
Oh, it was like a combat turtleneck.
He only had the back half of the turtleneck.
I like to think Samuel was the original guy, and he just hasn't noticed that it's a totally different guy. Bum bum bum. Oh, that's the one that's in charge. You can tell because he's got black handlebars.
Oh.
I've never really thought about it, but why would the leader have black handlebars?
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
I know.
I did not remember this.
I was so happy when you didn't remember the Daleks.
I am a genius.
I know, this was so big. Well, you said surprise Dalek. I'm like, did you remember?
I had no idea.
No, that's one hell of a cliffhanger. Because as I mentioned before, this was the first time you had Daleks and Cybermen in the same episode. I can only think of like one other time that's happened. I won't spoil it, but no, that's one hell of a cliffhanger. What'd you think then?
You're so smart.
You're so smart.
I agree. Yeah, probably like 3 things did happen in that episode, but it was still an enjoyable ride.
I'm not even sure I would say it's building atmosphere, but it was still good, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you entertain the people for like 3 hours while I use the bathroom real quick?
I can entertain the people.
Yeah. Just tell them all about Lord of the Rings or something, or why you think the metric system's better. I don't even have to listen to your arguments. But before then, there'll be a bit of a break, maybe like 5-10 minutes before the next episode, so you can go get something or bathroom or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, systems of measurement. You see, I've never had a stake in this game, really. But a lot of people, when they talk about it, they are very passionate, and I've only ever heard people be very passionate of the fact that the metric system is better. So the fact that I've heard an alternative today, my ears have perked up. Maybe I should put a little bit of skin in the game. I've listened to some people's arguments as to why the metric system is better, and they seem to have been well thought out. They seem to make sense. I look at them and I go, yeah, that sounds about right. And I also look at them and I go, I'm not going to learn that. I'm not going to... A kilometer? I understand what a mile is. All right, it's been 19 years of miles. Why am I gonna learn kilometers? If I start talking about kilometers in my day-to-day circle, I think I'm gonna get beaten up, and then I'm gonna get jumped because I'm gonna become the kilometer guy, and no one wants to be the kilometer guy. Which I think for me is why. Oh, I think I just accidentally changed to the other side of the argument here. I just started defending the imperial system, but I think I was dogging on it when I started talking. So I think I got to do a little bit of soul searching on that. Oh, now I'm just left confused, and there's not even. It's my fault that I'm confused. Oh, crap. Okay, we can't bring this up. We can't let it be known that this happened once they get back. Crap. See, I don't even have the stream open, so I don't know if I'm talking to anyone. I always just have.
I put the headphones on to. Okay. We can't let them know this happened, and I was like, wait, let me just sit here. Okay, I think I left my water bottle upstairs. Hang on a second.
Okay. See, now I feel like the headphones. See, that was a trick. That's a trick. We're being listened to right now, but you and I, we know what we went through during the break. We can keep that close, and we can stay strong. I'm definitely going to fold under the pressure, though, but it feels good to know that you believe in me. At least I'm hoping you believe in me, and I'm carrying that strength with me upon my back, because you and me, we're in this together now, all right? Whether you like it or not, we're in this together. That was a good nothing burger. I can yap. I'm a professional. Thank you. Oh, maybe it was true. No, maybe I convinced myself we were still being listened to. The interrogation will begin. Oh, what I was saying though. Yeah, I don't know if there's even anyone here. Stream isn't open. I could truly be talking to myself and then have convinced myself of wrongness while truly being alone. And that, well, the soul searching
was
gets
the
even
real
deeper.
friends we made along the way. What happened?
Well, I think when I started talking, I was defending the metric system, and then by the end of it, I accidentally started defending. I came up with a reason.
So I won.
To defend. Well, yeah, I think so, but
What was
it
your
was an
reason?
accident. Well, I said if I start talking about kilometers, I'm gonna get jumped because I'm gonna become the kilometer guy in America,
Florida?
and that's lame. And then I realized, like, oh wait, now I'm defending
No.
the imperial system.
So here's the main thing. So one of the biggest proponents for the metric system is that, like, the rest of the world uses it, so we should just adopt, because then we're on the standard, you know. And you get you have the stories of, like, the probe that was like the Europeans were working in metric, the Americans working imperial. So, like, the Europeans gave the Americans, like, we need this much, like, fuel per second or whatever, or this much, like, change in velocity, and they give it in meters. The Americans entered it in feet, and then the probe landed on Mars. And people are like, this is why you should use the metric system. No, it's not. You could also solve that problem by having Europe adopt the imperial system. It's just an argument for standards. You could solve this by, like, deriving a unit of measurement that's based entirely off of measurements taken on Arnold Schwarzenegger's toenails. Like, it doesn't matter what the hell the system is. Standardization is good, right? And yes, the easiest way to get the world standardized is to use the metric, because most people use it anyway. But the question isn't, what system should we adopt as our standard? The question is, which one's better? You know, forget what's already happening in the world. If you were to design a world, like, from scratch, you know, what's the better system? Because there's a lot of things that are just better than, like, what's usually used. I mean, most theoretical voting systems are better than most voting systems that are actually in place, you know? So, no, that's not a pro for, it's like you have to say, okay, but you use the imperial system because this is better than the metric, or vice versa. So I'm going to tackle volume, length, and temperature in order of the easiest to defend and the worst, right? And tell you why they're each better. Then I'm going to convince you that the imperial system is better. And I'd like to clarify that I learned recently America doesn't actually use the imperial system. Obviously, the clue's in the name, empire. The imperial system was made by the UK. But America and England actually use totally unrelated systems of measurement that are derived from the same old system that nobody uses anymore. Which is why the UK has stone and we don't. And there are some, like, other slight variations. So when I say imperial system, I mean, like, basically the American, but, you know, those, like, feet, miles, gallons, for Fahrenheit. And also, like, yeah, the imperial system has, so first off, imperial system has a lot of dumb units. Like, it has buttload, which is an amazing unit, but, you know, very impractical. It's a real unit. About, you know, those, like, comically large barrels of wine in cartoons and stuff, and, like, cellars? Yeah. That's one buttload. Or it's measured in buttloads. It might not be one, but it's just a lot. It's a big unit of volume. That's dumb, right? No one uses them. Let's just talk about the units that people use. Because, like, okay, if, like, you have a metric system, but it also had, like, the dingly dorp is, like, a unit of length, that wouldn't make the metric system worse, you know? You just wouldn't use the dingly dorp. I think it would actually improve the metric system. I don't even care what the length is. But volume, right? Totally irrelevant. No one ever thinks about volume. For some reason, we use, like, Olympic swimming pools, even though no one actually knows what the hell that means. When you think about volume, what do you think? Gallon of milk, 16-ounce soda can, 2-liter bottle, sometimes 1-liter bottle. You just look at other things. You know, this trash can. volume's really irrelevant, and like no one really has a sense, no matter what metric system you use. You really just kind of look at stuff around you, so it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. We'll call it a tie. I know. I said the easiest to worst. They're all gonna get better, but I just have to get like you agree, right? It really doesn't matter. Like if it mattered, we wouldn't use Olympic swimming pools as a unit of volume. That's my argument. So now
it's
temperature. Yeah, go on.
I'm gonna let you continue, but this argument.
Okay, look,
better get better.
I'm just saying it doesn't matter. It does. Fahrenheit, right? Fahrenheit is a more precise unit of temperature than Celsius. So what I mean, so of course that's nonsense. Like, 31.28765 Celsius and like 10 Fahrenheit, Celsius is more precise. But if you round it to the same percentage point, so like 1 degree, which is what people are, usually going to say. Like, how hot is it? Oh, 15, They're not really going to go more precise. There's a bit of math to explain why, but essentially, a degree difference in Fahrenheit is smaller than a degree difference in Celsius. If you think about it, Celsius, water boils between 0 and 100. So there's like 100 units between the temperature that water boils. In Fahrenheit, it's 32 and like 215. And so there's like almost 200. There's more temperature in between those ranges, if that makes sense. So essentially, in America, when you talk about temperatures, like, oh, it's 71, it's 72, it's 73, you have more granularity in actually understanding the temperature, and to a level that actually often matters, especially when you get to like the kind of borderline cold or borderline hot territory. Whereas in Europe, the single degree changes can actually be bigger, Welcome, Jack's Law. We're taking a break between the two-parters, but we are going to start Doomsday soon. I'm currently telling you why the imperial system is better than the metric. So for one, you just get more granularity that's meaningful. And even if you be like, oh, just say like it's 15.2 degrees Celsius, that just takes longer to say. So it's more efficient, and you can get more levels across in Fahrenheit. Now, the big argument against Fahrenheit is, in Celsius, water boils at 0 and 100. In Fahrenheit, it's 32, and I even said, like, 215 or something. I don't know exactly. You want to know how I boil water? I turn the stovetop to high. I've never seen a stovetop that has measurement. Like, why? Why do you actually have to know? It matters a little more when it freezes, but even then, like, if you're looking at the weather, you're gonna see like a picture of snow. Like, they're gonna tell you. They're gonna say, they won't even say it's approaching like the 32. They'll say it's approaching freezing.
Okay.
And like, there are so many uses for, like, every other temperature is random, other than the ones you're defining it. Like, why? Like, you don't actually, who needs to, and also it changes by elevation anyway. So like water probably doesn't actually boil at exactly like that degree you're talking about. So I don't understand the like, these two things are better. It's like, yeah, but it's much more useful to know what temperature literally anything is,
I really gotta break this down.
Yeah.
So your arguments for, and you're gonna need to let me land here. Your arguments for your length and volume were like, we don't need those. Why?
No, I haven't done length. No, volume.
Okay.
I haven't done
volume.
length.
So your length or volume is we don't need volume. That's your argument. We don't need it.
Well, I think it's all just kind of arbitrary. Like, no, I feel like, when have you ever actually like really thought in terms of volume other than like comparing two things? I just don't think it really matters to the whole system, and like, technically it's easier to convert volume into like cubic lengths and metric. We'll get into conversions later, but how often do you actually have to do that?
Well, so even then,
yeah,
the argument for temperature started sounding like it was based. I mean, I get what you're saying about being more
You get more
it's more exact.
granularity.
I get it. I get it.
And yeah.
I rebuttal that you could just change the system to 300, and it would also be even finer.
What's the system? Well, there's a point where it stops mattering, but there isn't a system where it's 300. You know,
your landing zone, the touchdown, the big apple throughout all of this about it's good to be more exact was that. Oh, who needs temperature? I just turned the stove to high.
It wasn't who need temperature. It's like the specific case of you don't know when water boils is a nonsensical criticism. Like, why?
See,
and like besides that, okay, can you really not remember two numbers? Like, if you say it's important for me to know these temperatures, can you really just not remember it? Let me tell you, if someone living somewhere where the weather goes below freezing, you know when it freezes, right? When the hell do you ever have to know if it's like the water's gonna boil by its temperature? Because every stove ever just says high. The instructions for like ovens and stovetops are like you put it on high. Even my microwave says to put it on high. It's like the cooking world where you'd actually use the temperature doesn't seem to give a damn what the temperature is. It's like high, just or medium, you know, just put it somewhere there.
As an average Joe, I don't need to measure things in Olympic swimming pools. If I were like a physicist, or if I was like a marine biologist and I needed to know about volume, I think the systems would matter more to me.
Can you let me come back to conversions? Because that's kind of a cornerstone of length.
Okay, yeah.
And go back to there. Because, that could matter more, you know? I'd also like to point, though, that Americans don't really. I mean, I think no one has a good sense of volume, but Americans especially aren't going to know what a milliliter is intuitively. But we still use them in science class without a problem. So I'd still put forward even then it wouldn't really matter as long as your beaker was labeled. But anyway, length, the big one, right? Now I'll give you props. The metric system did a great job on the meter. Meter is a very good unit of measurement. It is annoyingly just not half of a person. It'd be cool if the average height of a person was 2 meters exactly. A little annoying that it's not, but hey, that's one specific example. And I mean, it's not like a person is exactly 5 or 6 feet tall. That's a good unit. It's a good, for human-sized things, great unit. With the metric system, of course, the point was, let's make a system where we can kind of add or subtract 2 zeros, move times 100 or divide by 100 every time. And so unit conversions can be real easy. So what you get is an amazing meter, that amazing base, and then a whole bunch of uselessness either side. I don't think I've ever seen someone use a decimeter or a decameter outside of classes. And also, did you catch how I said the whole point of the metric system was to move by units of 100? But the millimeter is so small that no one really uses it in practice. There are some engineering things, but it's the centimeter. So well done, you failed at your first task. But still, that whole unit conversion thing, a meter to a centimeter is a pretty big jump, though. And let's take a step back from the metric and look at the imperial system. You have the foot, good unit of length for, the sort of things you might hold in 2 hands. Maybe 1 hand if it's thin. It's a good, I work with this size. The yard is shit, I'll give that. Just replace the yard with a meter, and you've got the perfect system. Don't really ask me why. No one uses the yard unless you play American football. It's clearly failed as a unit. But I think the Imperial could use that kind of person size. Although, about 5 foot to a person is pretty good, is a rough base. Mile versus kilometer, at that distance, you're thinking driving times. It's like the Olympic swimming tool. It's too big for the mind to really comprehend. But it's below the foot where the length really shines, because inch is, again, a really good unit of measurement for smaller things. The things you might hold in 1 hand, or those sorts of objects. And so you have 12 inches to a foot, which will come back to conversions. It's not neat, sure, but it means you actually have 2 useful units. You have a very useful inch, and you have a very useful foot. And yes, you do have the yard if you choose to be like that. Because they're very similar, the yard and the meter, of course. Very similar lengths. But with a metric system, you have this 1 meter length that's really good for, like, people-sized things. And then you kind of missing something between the centimeter and the meter. You have the, I think it's decimeter, not the decameter, but again, no one uses that. If you went measured something, it's like, if you went, this is 10 decimeters long, you'd get funny looks, you know? It's clearly failed in practice, even if we might not understand the theory. And you say, okay, oh, the unit conversions. Especially in the metric system, what the hell are you doing converting between units? The whole point is you have the meter for person-sized things, the centimeter for really small things, and the kilometer for big distances, right? Why are you converting your, like, your distance between London and York into, like, meters? Why are you doing this? Why are you putting it into centimeters? It's like, oh, maybe you're running power poles. You know, you gotta buy cable by the meter or something. Oh, sure. You're running a business where you run power poles, so you probably have a program, or you put some data and it spits out the exact number you need, which is, you're also gonna round up to whatever they sell the unit in anyway. Like, this is the point of unit conversions, is we all have, like, first off, you shouldn't really be doing them. Like, again, in a imperial system, why are you converting from foot to inches? Like, there are some specialty cases in, like, industry or whatever, but in industry, you're probably going to be having tools that actually do that themselves. And again, I have my calculator here with a built-in unit converter. I have the button on my keyboard for a calculator. I could Google it if I really wanted to. Okay. There isn't really a world... Okay, but let me finish. Because, like, in the modern world, you just don't need them. And you might say, oh, it'll take a bit longer to do that, like, half-second pull out the calculator. You know what I won't have to do when I pull out the calculator? Second-guess myself or double-check. And I won't get it wrong, because the calculator is not going to get it wrong. And so I'm not going to make these little tiny mistakes. Like, the whole reason for the different units is because the world exists at different scale. You're not... So, like, why not let the units just be brilliant for their scale, and then the rare cases you have to do a conversion in some sort of actual industry, or even if you're not, just let the calculator do it, because you're probably also working through, like, big equations that you'll want a calculator for anyway. Go ahead.
So I think... I feel like what I think
no defense.
you... I feel like what I think you felt like in that one episode of Doctor Who,
Bro?
where everyone really likes the speech, but you don't like
the Zygon speech.
Because, okay, but even at the end of it, we started on why the Imperial system is better than the metric system, and your final point was just use a calculator.
No,
which
for
I think
the
is
unit
wrong.
Conversions. Because the biggest complaint about the Imperial system is unit conversions, and my point is, you shouldn't be doing unit conversions anyway. And if you are, you're in science or manufacturing or something. When was the last time? Okay, but if you're in those fields, in the modern day, you are using specialized programs. And, like, the more deeper in a field where you might have to do those conversions, the more specialized your programs, or you're doing the conversion as part of a larger math problem that you're going to be using tools for anyway. So, like, why do we have a system that is worse for the everyday person so that, like, the 5% can have a slightly easier time, but also every now and then get the math wrong because they did it mentally?
I think the further you are into a specialized field, the more you should understand how to do the things. Not that you should be doing them all the time, but you should have gone through, like, well, if my electrician always he always learned how to do everything through a calculator or through a computer, or my machinist, I would have rather. I'd feel less secure because if something goes wrong, you're not flexible.
But they didn't. Like, I haven't done manual math or unit conversion since elementary school. I know it's 12 inches to a yard, 3 feet to a 12 inches to a foot, 3 feet to a yard, and then 5280 feet to a mile. I just don't do that by hand. It like, you know, already, like even by my time, we did math where by hand you do like division, you do multiplication so that you can understand what's actually happening. And then once you do, the computer does it. Even more advanced math, like calculus or something, you'll do it by hand at first, and then the graphing calculator takes care of it because it's not what's really mattering. Once like you do it by hand to get the foundational knowledge, but I don't think like that's like saying that without a calculator you literally couldn't convert between units. It's like I could, but like what's happening? Do you not have power? You're probably not working at your job because you don't have power, you know? Like, what are you doing?
Well, so the desire is to have a unit of measurement. I mean, what if the world, something happens and the internet doesn't exist and power's gone and an apocalypse or something?
If the world collapses, I think we've got bigger problems than which unit of measurement we're using. Okay?
I disagree.
Oh,
I think
okay.
you need to know how to rebuild, and so we've got to be on the same page of how we're going to talk about this.
How are you going to keep? Yeah, but you're going to have these isolated societies invent their own system. Like, what are you doing even measuring or converting between units when the apocalypse has happened? You don't need to run cable between cities. You just need to know how many tin cans are in your pantry. By the way, this is like the only part of the stream that people have been listening to. I think to point out consistently.
Most of society, we haven't had computers to do the measurements.
Yeah, and everything was much slower and more prone to error. Do you know how long it took to do some like basic math back in the day? Do you know how long a square root took in the 1800s? Took like a week, you know, and
I'd like to remind
and even then you couldn't even get it there.
I'd like to really remind us that the center point of this conversation isn't even about what we're talking about. I think we've long walked past.
That's the biggest point.
Much better.
That's the biggest criticism against okay, let's just say humanity was like perfect number machines and unit conversions, we could just do it in our head whatsoever, right? Would you then say that the imperial system is the better system because of the points I've outlined? If we just assume that like the human brain is a calculator.
Well, if the human, I don't think it matters at that point if the human brain's a calculator.
I mean, but it can't think about length too good. It's just it's like a basic calculator.
So the human brain is built to work really well on the
if
imperial.
unit conversions didn't matter, right? Then the imperial system is just a better system. It's got better units. You can communicate more. Like, I think the only thing the imperial system is missing is it could use something smaller than an inch. I'm not a big fan of like quarter and half inch for screws, but
yeah, that's
again,
on you.
But you're really just in manufacturing, you know, is where you'd use
I
that.
think far more people use measurements than you've been assuming throughout all of this argument.
I own like 3 tape measures. One of them is on my desk right now. Usually it's 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's been interesting to hear this viewpoint, and I think I remain exactly where I was.
I will vote for the imperial system every time. Every time it comes up, I will fight for our goddamn rights as Americans.
I think I'm gonna.
You know what? My biggest argument is, even the UK still uses a lot of imperial. They go in miles per hour. They weigh themselves in stone for some reason. They're a weird mixed country because they know deep in their hearts their system is better.
I'm gonna let you give your closing remarks while I use the bathroom now. And
all right, go ahead.
Process the information that you've just given me.
I'm glad you're here, fully recognizing the imperial system is better. I will admit, I've never had this much trouble having someone come on board with the imperial system being better. And like, this is the Florida man through and through. You know, you think he'd be the easy target, but I'm allowed to say that my brother's from Florida. Well, my brother lives in Florida, But yeah, no, I still maintain it's just the better system. Put the meter in the Imperial system, get rid of the yard. Just dumb unit no one uses. Like, so much of the metric system just has failed the practical test. Like, why are you converting between units? Why? Why are you doing it? Why are you knowing the temperature that water boils? Like, why do you even just turn it to high? I don't know. Like, okay, like you're a scientist and you need to boil the water. Well, like, you probably also need to boil a lot of random crud as a scientist. Like, if you're ever in a scenario where you boil things by temperature and you need to boil water, it's probably because you're dealing with a lot of other things. You just have, like, a chart, like, I don't know, some sort of periodic table that just tells you a bunch of stuff boils, and then you get some for molecules, you write it down. It's the password, with just sticky note with your password on it, right? Where it just says all the numbers. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, you had to remember 2 numbers. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's it. Caden was saying that, like, somehow you'd forget to do unit conversions. Maybe the metric systems just made you lazy, you know? You're not gonna memorize all that crud because you're just gonna multiply and divide by 10. Yeah, you could tell from the lack of pools. I think that's it. God, Caden.
I've returned.
You know how you said that, like, if we all use what was it? If we all used calculators, we'd fail as a society? Because, like, we forget how to do it by hand, like you were some sort of boomer? No, let's move on. You sound like... you sound, even when my 5th grade teacher would tell me you'd never always have your calculator on them, I didn't believe them then. I'm like, what kind of idiot do you think you are? And I think they probably didn't believe it. They were just like, this is a 5th grader. They're not going to question it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of... Even our grandfather who goes to Africa sometimes without electricity is like, I still have my solar-powered calculator, grandfather. Like, if I really wanted it. Like, why am I doing math in, like, the middle of Africa? You know? Like, what is it? It's like, I could do it. Okay, but no. Maybe, right? The people in the metric system complained that you'd have to remember the temperature of the water boilers. Maybe the fact that you're using the metric system means that you can't remember 2 numbers, you know? Maybe it's atrophying the brains. You ever think of that one?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know enough about the metric system or the imperial system to even have a stake in this
Just
argument.
don't know anything.
That's where I started.
Man.
But I know enough about what makes a debate to comprehend that this has been the most wildly, all over the place, seemingly strangely informed opinion that has been presented to me. And I mean, sunflower seeds, those are last season.
It's a debate that I hadn't prepared for, yeah. It's just a well-informed debate, but it's a little bit unstructured. I'm sorry. Next time I'll have the paper for you.
Thank you. Sunflower seeds are a thing of the past, because this is going to be, every time there's a break now, I'm going to be chewing on this.
I'm going to look for new units, random units, explain why they're better. Finally lost one of our 3 viewers. Are you ready for...
I'm prepared,
to figure out what those Daleks were about?
Yeah, I forgot about the snipe.
I know. You thought those Daleks would be the most exciting thing that happened today. No,
I forgot
it was...
all about that.
I think Jack's Law is on board, by the way. He's saying your argument didn't have enough swimming pools. Unless he's talking to you and not me. I don't know. You should probably pull the chat up.
I don't know anything about either of the systems, really, at the end of the day.
Look, it's not my fault if the education system failed you on the imperial system. Like, what you're saying is that I know more about the subject and am better qualified to tell you the imperial system's better.
Which is why the way it was presented was even more just baffling.
All right. We'll do Doomsday. We'll get into final episode, season 2. In case you missed it before, we are going to be doing a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. On go, we're going to hit play, and I'm going to take every opportunity to tell you how the imperial system's better. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Usually people get on board with it, you know. Okay, let's stop. Let's all stop. I don't know why. You can see it's playing. You can see right there. That's the pause button.
Yeah.
Is my hard drive okay? Oh, you know what happens? We debated for so long. It stopped like actively reading the 10 terabyte hard drive. This happened, so it actually has to wake up. So let me media Doctor.
We didn't lose the viewers, but we lost Doctor.
Actually, I don't think. Okay, I did do subtitles, and I did not change the stereo mode. Modern series 2. I think we're back. Okay. I'll do a countdown again. Okay, yeah, we're back. All right, no new countdown. Don't worry about the blurred image. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I have to use the external hard drive because of the look. It's like the frame rates. It'd take too long, but I have to use that one.
Yeah, I've got to get back in the mindset. Mickey's here, Daleks. Jackie's got windows in her house.
Most people gotta wait a week.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for the Christmas special, which is less than 50 days away. I'd like to appreciate, though, the line, "the last story I'll ever tell," just thinking about all the stories Rose has after this, including literally the spin-off about Rose after this episode. That's like told from the perspective of Rose. It's got Clyde in it. We talked about it, right?
Oh.
He's got like his whole Big Finish series.
Clyde.
I don't know if it's any good, but I've heard about it.
Well, that might be.
I don't know.
Good.
I'm skeptical of anything Modern Who Big Finish does, unless it's the War Master. But the War Master is basically classic anyway, so, you know. Is that gatekeeping? I don't know. Weird gate. It's Doctor Who, but like this random arbitrary line of where the guy who had 30 seconds of screen time fits. Then they leave. God, that would have been legendary if they went bugger, wrong time zone, and left. Oh yeah, the proper Daleks haven't met her yet. We're still doing with him being like extinct, off and on. I think they do a really good job of keeping the Daleks kind of like nearly extinct. I've seen a lot of people complain about it, but like, I think it's really done well.
I'll need a few more seasons.
Yes, actually. Although we actually see them go back into power, and then we just kind of stop bothering, you know. Or do we? It might actually be 11th Doctor. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's just the Daleks.
No biggie. Well, that's the problem, though. Because there's like 3 of them in that room, so that's dangerous.
4. But she's made friends with every Dalek she's ever met. And still
1,000 Daleks is nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's mean.
Oh, wait, yeah, she did meet that Dalek fleet. Well, let's not talk about that one. That doesn't prove
10,000
my point.
Daleks, never a problem. 4, world's gonna end.
Well, that's the thing. The classic thing is one Dalek is like an existential threat to the universe, but like an army of Daleks is cannon fodder. What's 4? I don't know.
We don't know yet.
We don't know. Like, that Cyberman probably broke down the door or a window. How does humanity?
We saw this one. We saw him break into the house.
What?
Last episode, we saw this Cyberman break into that family's house.
Oh yeah. How did like the window repair people forget? You know. They're just invading an oil field. It makes sense, but God, that's such. What are the sound effects in this episode? You've got the pew pew lasers and like the video game shock effect. Man,
that happened quick.
We forgot about it though. If you took every hour spent in school and used 1/10 of that time to dig a pool, you would so have one right now. That's true. I don't
Yeah.
see the relevance. We'd have several pools. That's like multiple years worth. That was the comments, in case that just came out of nowhere for you.
I assumed.
I like the markings under the eye stalks. Usually, I think that's the same for the Dalek props. It's like a registration, but they're unique for these 4, and they're the Daleks' names, which is a fun little detail.
Oh. Where? Can't.
Under the eyes. He's looking down now, so you can't see it. But there's a plaque. There we go.
Oh,
see that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of
And
sick.
once upon a time, I used to be able to name some of them from the plaque. Not as cool as in Dalek, I have to admit. Both of these villains are voiced by Nicholas Briggs, who voices basically everyone. Oh, Nicholas Briggs! That's gotta be the guy who voices the most characters in Doctor Who. Because he voices, like, every alien. Yeah. And especially in Big Finish. Yeah.
You can get away with people voicing people. It's different than putting their face in front of you.
Well, he plays himself in the 5-ish Doctors. And a Doctor Who audio drama, he plays himself.
Double
Literally, they break the fourth wall to have Colin Baker recording the script.
Ooh,
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? You like your fourth wall?
It wasn't great, but I don't remember the context. Here we go. I'm gonna have to show you the bitch fight at Canary Wharf after this.
Yeah.
But enjoy the epic version right now. I'll try not to quote it. Although I won't make promises. This was the first meeting of the Cybermen and the Daleks in Doctor Who history.
Monumental.
I've always loved watching 2 robots kind of robot off. Although, again,
Yeah.
neither of them are actually robots, so... When was that? Oh, I guess maybe their generation.
She's gonna cut. That's funny how simple of a solution, but yeah, just call her. She's fine.
Well, to be fair, they're distracted now.
Mm.
I love that reaction. She's fine. Why haven't they killed her? I'm ready for the Donna.
Does he talk about when he first used those 3D glasses, why he's using them?
That is obvious. Sorry, I love that line. No, it hasn't been explained.
Oh, okay.
We have definitely followed through every alliance we've ever formed. Not even trying in this episode. What are these sound effects? Did, they run out of money? Actually, they had to buy the Cybermen. No, the BBC owns the Cybermen. I don't know, maybe the Daleks just cost that much. This is pest control. That's got
That's
a
pretty
brilliant
banger.
opening.
That's pretty hard.
This isn't war, this is cyberbullying. No? Really? Come on.
I thought
There we go.
I was comprehending 4, and I was like, oh, 4, they should be afraid.
I'm sorry, I did talk over that badass scene.
I was getting drawn in.
People talk about, who would win in a fight, the Daleks and the Cybermen sometimes. And it's so weird to me because when the Daleks, we would defeat the Cybermen with 1 Dalek, I believe it. There's no doubt in my mind they would. Okay, the bitch fight of Canary Wharf has totally ruined this scene for me. I have to stop laughing and quoting. I will show you after. It is hilarious. It's a re-edit of this scene, but the lines are a little more comical.
Mm-hmm. Bald guy's happy
What?
he went on lunch. He's happy he went to take his break.
There's actually another bald guy here. I don't think it's the same. But I'm trying to
Gotta be a
figure out if
different
it's
guy.
Nicholas Briggs. Probably not, because he's got to do the voices. Do you think the Genesis arc is a reference to Genesis of the Daleks, the like most popular classic Who story?
Sounds cool. Could be.
It
I like
sounds
it.
like something Russell would do. You know, the guy who literally just plays Pyramids of Mars in like 20 years. I feel like they're more... It's more replacey than that, you know? If that makes sense.
How do you mean?
Well, like, they don't just pluck the brain out and put it in something else. They, like, cut off skin and replace metal bits. There's some other organ. They're a weird mix, the Cybermen. It kind of feels like they're
like
halfway done. Like, just personally, how I see, like, immortality and how you would upgrade yourself to be beyond flesh is because they're, like, beyond the flesh. But they also have this weird dependence on flesh, where, like, sometimes they even just have exposed hands, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels far more brutal than just taking the brain out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's brutal, but it almost feels more reversible, too. Like, if you can just do that. In the future, why can't we make, like, meat clones and put the brain in that, you know? Well, better than a Cyberman. From State Farm, yeah.
He didn't look really happy. He just stared.
No. He has Allstate. It's like he remembers who broke the window.
That was convenient.
There's something weird about the leaderless Cybermen having one Cyberman decide that another Cyberman is leader, you know? Did he have the authority to make the decision? And if so, why isn't he the leader? Like, the whole point is it doesn't matter, right? Oh, big red button. Hey, big button. We talked
There's
about
a big
that.
button and 2 levers.
Actually, that is partially the big button that, like, helps save the day.
Huh.
It's kind of distributed, though, you know.
I'm having a worse time over there.
Is there... I don't think there's an explanation for why the Void Ship kind of tied these two universes. I think the Cybermen just fleed and they happened to run into the Void Ship. So there isn't a connection.
Oh, wasn't the explanation with the window thing?
Well, this
Or,
is
like,
how the
why these two
Cybermen got
specifically?
into our world. But why was there a tie between the Void Ship and the parallel universe? But I don't think there was. I think the Cybermen said they just fled, and then they happened to find the ship. You know?
I buy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that works. That's racist. Oh, there's the intro. Why is it the time vortex? Is she remembering through time
you know,
travel?
it's-
Oh, now we're going
yeah.
to the future.
Oh, and we're
Wait.
back now. Yeah.
No, that episode was the future, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it was a memory, So it was in the past.
Yeah, we'll time travel. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't understand, like I'm some sort of science fiction character. We'll get there in Matt Smith, because in brief, I don't know. Okay, either I'm some sort of like temporal mechanics genius who has no trouble with this stuff, or people in sci-fi are just absurdly incompetent compared
It's like
to like
horror
the average
movies,
person.
I feel like.
But I don't know which one it is. I genuinely don't know, and I want to find out.
I think it's like in horror movies, people are stupid. In sci-fi, they need to not understand it so that they can explain it.
In horror movies, they're stupid for plot reasons, and even then, in good horror movies, they're not, right? But is it that they actually need to explain it, or do they just have not enough faith? And they'll make people who like should know better be confused, you know?
You gotta run an experiment.
Do you think they're trying to say something about, you know, debating about what to do, meaning that nothing gets done, so the world collapses? I'm trying to figure out if there's like some sort of climate change analogy in here, or maybe something else from like 2006.
Yeah, I don't really know what was happening in the world then.
The Iraq War, but we already had one of those. It's so weird, too, because the Doctor spent the whole time in the other universe. Like, he's not your dad, he's just some guy. But now he's like, it's your daughter, you know? It's your wife. It's almost like I know where this episode is going, you know?
Okay, wait, maybe it is climate change.
Yeah, I remember that bit. But it's explicitly not global warming. I don't know. It might just be, like, set up, you know? Not a great guy. I killed you, Pete. Like, what is he doing? Does he want to ditch Rose? Is he just trying to distract Pete so that he doesn't close the breach? I guess I just have never really understood.
No.
Although, hey, the 10th Doctor being a hypocrite, it's almost like he's an immortal who wants us all to die at 80 because that's the natural order of things. But is going to throw a temper tantrum when he's told he has to regenerate, not even die. They guarded that door quick. The camera cut and they're already there. They tried to download me. That's a brilliant mom doesn't understand tech line. Jackie is a great addition to the episodes. I kind of want a series of episodes where the Doctor has a companion like Jackie. You know? Just like, who thinks a fire extinguisher is identifiable and doesn't really know what's going on. Like, a series where the threat to the planet isn't really the main concern. It's still big, but, like, it's not the biggest. It's trying to deal with the companion. Like, it would take the Doctor 5 minutes to solve the problem if the companion wasn't there.
Maybe, I mean, Doctor New K9, he, like, domesticates a Dalek.
See?
Just keep one on the ship.
This is the sort of thing I'm tired of. It's like, I won't do it. Kill him. She doesn't even react. She's like, fine. It's just Mickey. But it's a whole world. Come on. Although, to be fair, she is not doing it right now. So. Badass. Okay.
Yeah, let's wait.
Fair enough, though. I mean, he did, like, destroy the Daleks. I love these Dalek props. Just, they're so there and tough,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because these ones don't know. This is the first time they've seen the Doctor since he was John Hurt.
John Hurt?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
I love that line, too. It's like, I was there at the fall of Arcadia. Sometimes I might come to terms with that. Russell T. Davies was really good at elevating, like, the Time War without showing it,
Mm-hmm.
Dalek Khan. I know you.
Khan.
I remember 2 of their names.
I don't know how his turtleneck was half of a turtleneck a while ago, but it was, and I keep waiting for it to go back.
This is a weird plot point where they stole Time Lord technology to build this arc. I won't spoil what the tech is, but like they've been shown to have that technology since season 1 of the classics. Sorry, season 2. Big difference. Man, where did this Russell go with 15? Don't get me wrong, I like a lot of 15, but where'd that guy go? Whoa.
Therapy.
What is that? It's a little gremlin laugh. We need more gremlin laugh. It is a great line to describe the Sonic and the Doctor's mentality. I fully understand why he has that, but I've always thought, again, it's a little hypocritical to be like, no, he does regularly use, like, this scene right here, he literally used it so the Daleks could be killed,
Yeah.
I think 10 gets this a lot as well, but it's kind of like well, I didn't do it. I just tripped you into the spikes. The spikes did it.
Cybermen working together with people when they came into that room?
Well, they don't like the Daleks.
Okay.
To be fair, the Daleks are the biggest threat to everyone in this room, including the other Daleks.
Nah.
Headshot, bam. Even though it doesn't matter. And people still ask who would win in a fight.
Definitely Daleks.
This actually starts a trend of the Cybermen showing up for finales, but never on their own. Other than like the 2-parter we just had, I can only think of one other story off the top of my head where the Cybermen stand in their own right. And that's The Next Doctor. That's the name of the episode. It's actually This Doctor, funny enough, but it's The Next Doctor, the episode. See, Oh, wait, is that a Torchwood gun or a Cyberman gun?
Yes.
Quick, Pete, She's done your scope. That's how I'd react. I don't think she knows about alternate universe Pete. That was maybe Rose's reaction, like, oh, I should have told her about that one. Mickey's just loving it. He's an agent of chaos here. It's like, I'm just here to get married to Martha Jones. Bet you forgot about that one. Dab. Yeah, Mickey would dab.
Oh, yeah, he would. Wow, look at him. He totally would. Dang. Now I'm envisioning it.
If only we invented dabbing. Yeah, that's my reaction. There was never anyone else except everyone else. There was Elton. Not that one. The other one. Yeah, that one.
I had a dog named Rose.
I did. We named our dog Rose.
That was cool.
It was my idea too, funny enough.
Turned it into a cyber dog.
Wonder where that dog went. Yeah, cyber dog. Lived long time now, though. Still around.
I like that. Made me rich. I don't care. How
Yeah.
rich?
It's a purebred dog. My wife's actually on the top floor right now, shooting the Daleks. Actually, no, the doctor murdered my wife. Remember? He gave them all emotions, then they all died.
Oof.
That guy murdered my wife.
Violence.
He said he'd make a habit out of it. Didn't know what he meant, but I understand now. I don't think we've ever had the doctors, like, lead to someone's family member being killed. That could be an interesting dynamic, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if it's anything other than a companion departure, but I think you could have something interesting out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Are they Iron Man yet? Oh, no, they're gonna walk.
If they're
Man,
walking, they're just-
You know, you're thinking those ones are gonna take a while? We saw some
Yeah.
at the Taj Mahal.
all around the world.
Yeah.
I'm liking this B plot
Just-
of this weird family.
Over in Manhattan, they're just walking into the sea. Okay. I've never been to London. I'm not sure if that neighborhood would be that close to the financial district, but I appreciate that you can only see Canary Wharf and, like, the building next to it. Yeah, you can't see any of the other skyscrapers.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Especially
That's where all
from
that
that
money went.
close. The best part is I wonder if they had to edit out the rest of the skyline.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, glasses on. Did it ever get explained?
No, it's not been explained yet. The Daleks are so cool in, like, the first few seasons here. Where's their music? You know, make me a bacon sandwich. Where's the, you know, the chanting? That would really elevate it. I'm trying to think of a joke, but I really can't hear other than that. Sonic screwdriver case. It's a Sonic briefcase. In an emergency? Oh, wait, that's on Torchwood. Why is their lift even working? Stupid Daleks, they're flying to the roof.
That shot
Yeah.
of the elevator, we've seen it before. I don't remember what episode, and it doesn't matter.
I can
We've
think of
seen
a
it before.
different shot of a different elevator in a future episode. Does that count?
I don't think it does.
Yeah. Actually, maybe it is the same elevator. I've heard they reuse it a lot. How do you know? Maybe that's the max capacity, but maybe it's just 6. You don't know.
This should be great, because 4 Daleks is a problem.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, now, yeah. Now we can beat them.
We're fine.
God, that'd be a great parody episode, is to have the Doctor call in the Dalek fleet because there's one Dalek, and then he's like, we can beat him. And then they just pull out, like, water pistols and shoot the Daleks. They shoot one Dalek, and they all explode. That's the joke. Wait, if you ever get to Classic Coup, you'll see some brilliant Dalek deaths, like being pushed into a river. Not like into the river, but like literally, you know, the tide's kind of like going there, and they push the front bit like 3 centimeters into the river, and then they die. And see, centimeters. Metric could use a slightly smaller, you know. But again, you rarely use that measurement. See, he's happy! He knows they can be beaten. I wonder what the minimum amount of threat Daleks are.
No.
It's at least 4.
Oh, he said it. They're part of the problem. Makes them part of the solution. He knows.
Oh, there, he's gonna tell you.
Gonna do it.
Yeah, because he wears glasses, you know? You're stanky, Doctor. Wonder what the direction was for that scene. All right, David, I want you to stare at the camera. Oh, God, I love... Did you see those huge eyes she gave? Like, popping out of her head? It's like, your mother. It's like, what'd you say about me? Okay, so you understand the setup, right? Because it's important. Yeah. They're going to open the portal, and everything covered in void stuff is going to get sucked into the portal. Anything that's ever traveled between parallel universes, right? So like the Daleks, the Cybermen, everyone but Jackie, the TARDIS, everything that's been traveled between universe. Now, I don't actually care. Spoilers, the TARDIS is not going to get sucked in. But it's the TARDIS. It can just make it as dense as it wants. It can dematerialize for a second. You know, I don't complain about that one. But that is one of the nitpicks people have against this finale.
The TARDIS doesn't go through.
Yes, even though it's covered in void stuff, because it's been between universes.
Oh, yeah. But then what... But
now, the void ship, I don't think we see go through either. But, yeah.
My brain is trying to work. But I think by the time I see it, it'll make sense.
Well, everything covered in void stuff is going to get sucked into the thing they're going to open, right? And everything that's gone between universes is covered in void stuff. Therefore, the TARDIS is covered in void stuff.
Yeah, but so's the Doctor. But isn't Rose the one that gets separated?
Yeah, but they've got a plan. That's what the big magnets are. They're going to, like, hold on to the big magnets. Which, again, the TARDIS is probably stronger than the big magnets, you know? I don't have a problem with that nitpick. Well, here's a good little scene coming up, though. I'm not sure what the Doctor's plan was with only one person, though. Oh, wait, he might not have the magnet plan yet. We'll see. We should pay more attention, but then there wouldn't be content. I don't know what I'm going to do once you get to episodes you've never seen. But you say you're having fun, so. Damn, the fatal flaw in my plan. It's like he's surprised.
No, I didn't think that would happen.
It's almost like I shouldn't have just trusted this was the man I knew and loved. I'm sure there aren't going to be any consequences of the entire Torchwood system being open.
I think the button design, I can't get past how just comical the
Well, you don't want to
interdimensional.
miss.
I don't know. It's just so. It looks like one of those buttons that you press and it says one of those voice lines.
It's 2006. We didn't really have like small technology. It was still big. You had batteries and stuff. Oh, I love this too, right? So there's the like old Torchwood leader, and it's the first kind of take on you took away their emotions, but like they still actually have their knowledge. So she's like, okay, let's ignore the fact she's crying, but like she knows it's wrong.
Yeah.
And there is like the cyber controller. I get the sense it's more of like a hive mind, even though they really don't act like it. But like that's actually what it'd be like being emotionless.
Yeah.
Is someone who's been emotionless because of autistic stuff we've talked about before. It's like that's you remember.
She also did just cry though.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. But even if she didn't like care if England collapsed, she still knows it's something she would care about. And like knows it's stuff that she doesn't want to happen. God, I'm amazed one of them doesn't get clobbered, you know? Do you think the Daleks and Cybermen in, well, I guess it wouldn't be China, but the other side of the world are just being slammed into the floor?
I think that's what should happen.
Yeah. Here's the other nitpick is like, okay, but all the Daleks... Do you think there's someone like a galaxy over who's been between dimensions is just flying through space right now? And there we go, the Dalek who's gonna be alive for next episode. You always gotta keep one. It's a shame the others didn't think of it. I love that they're all screaming though. That sounds really messed up, but it's a kind of comical, like just flying through the air. Okay, but the lever hasn't been through the void. It's a shame I'm being pulled the other direction. But no, she's capable. Those scientists from before, they weren't.
No, they weren't.
But Rose Tyler. Rose Tyler's got the power. Even against that.
Online and locked. Wasn't locked before.
Yeah, well, the things you forget about, you know, till it's far too late. All right, are you ready for getting your expectations set for the next finales, next 3 finales? Dad power activate. There we go. Perfectly normal, right? He just knew. And he didn't get sucked himself because of, you know, he just didn't. He just knew, you know?
He just knew.
He just knew. You're so, yeah. No, but the emotion, right? Like it's the emotion. You're not thinking about that. And you never will. You'll be sad forever. See, he knows, because he's a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. All dads know. Neither of us are dads, but like our brother, he'd know.
Yeah, we could ask him. He'd tell us. He probably knows we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, he does. He knows he should be here. He just doesn't have the ability. There's like most of the audience. Well, there's a section of the audience that's just in tears right now. As I mentioned before, Rose is not really my favorite. I often don't really cry. It's hit or miss if I cry at a sad episode, again, for like autistic reasons. But we'll get to the real. Got punched. Chat disconnected. That's a new one. Successfully connected. There we go. That's a new one, because the stream didn't fail. Oh, I
Was
dropped
it-
18 frames. I mean,
I
he
really feel
he
like
plays it well.
I
Sorry, go
remember maybe what happens in the next 5 minutes, or maybe just
Yeah.
some point in the,
beach,
future.
yeah. There's I mean, there's things you can say like this is the first companion he's had since the Time War, and it's more of like I was gonna say a memory of what happens to his companions, but really not in the classics. They just kind of decided to leave. So it makes sense that it has so much weight on the character, because going forward, don't get me wrong, we're not going to forget about Rose, and he's going to make sure you know it. But it can also be a little bit annoying for a show that's so much about change to literally not move on from Rose for like the next 2 seasons. Plus. And so it can take away from the moment now, I will admit, to be like, well, you don't... Martha gets, like, destroyed because of the shadow of Rose. And Donna's good, but you still get some, like, Rose moments. The part of the chat that isn't crying is cheering because they love Martha and they're angry that, like, Rose just nukes Martha. Oh, we'll talk about Martha. We'll get there. Mickey lives with us now. Don't worry about it. We adopted him. He's our tin dog.
He's had a bit of a, he's more. I wouldn't say he's a tin man, but he's not a dog anymore.
He's not a tin man. He's a tin boy.
And yeah, he's a tin boy.
It's okay. This is his last episode, so we can just call him like a sexual predator and make him a tin dog. You know, that's it. Don't worry though, Doctor Who front-loaded its sexual predators, so we're done with those now. Yeah.
Had a dream, got in a car.
I know. I was gonna, but the one that went in my head, which at first was "I hope will come true," from the Someone to Lava.
Someone to Lava.
No, the best Pixar short.
No.
About the volcano who just wants someone to lava, so he sings his song. Yeah, you're remembering it now?
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, after this, we gotta look up the Bitchfire Canary Wharf and Someone to Lava, about a lonely volcano who just wants someone to lava. And so he sings a song every day. But he gets eroded away over time.
Oh, that's sad.
Well, yeah, and so just before his mouth goes under, he sings his song for the last time. And then we learned that underneath the water, there was a lady volcano here in the song. And when he stopped singing, it made her go up from the water. But she was facing the wrong way. And so she sang his song. And then that made the first volcano go up in happiness. And then they lived together forever, the end.
Aw.
Yeah, it's a brilliant short. It's way more emotional, honestly, than what's playing right now.
There's an episode where he says, "Hold on," and he goes to make himself more physical, and he disappears, and he accidentally messes it up, and they never say goodbye.
He pops back, but he comes back, but he's Matt Smith. It's like, this one took a while. Some things changed. You can visit this beach, by the way. It's actually in England.
Dalek? What?
There's a deleted... No, there's not. Never mind. That's a future episode. Don't listen. Shut up. But I'll bring it up in that deleted scene. That episode. Give it 2 seasons. Look, Rose, you remember that computer lady at Torchwood? You might not have seen her, but I'm going to go get her now. She did great. Go write a pop song about it. Dab. Forgot Jackie's pregnant. That kid's never going to come up again. Maybe in the Big Finish thing. God, Rose joined Torchwood? Wait, Torchwood is still open for business? They literally ended the world. It's not even Unit. It's like, Torchwood, why not? Martha also goes to Torchwood for a bit, actually. Wait, does every modern companion who stays in the modern age join Unit or Torchwood?
That's the cycle, you know?
The 13th Doctor's hasn't, but they do talk with Unit and save the day, and they're also too recent to really be there, you know? God, I want a new companion. You know, not a modern day girl, not even a modern day boy. I want someone. I want a Leela. I want a tribeswoman from a de-evolved survey expedition on another planet.
Something unusual, different.
Yeah. Give me one of those slugs from Dot and Bubble. Like, give me a personified social media platform that has to learn that the universe is good and not just like the toxic social media from the rich racists it grew up with. Tell me that wouldn't be amazing. You judged it.
Put it in K9.
In K9.
Yeah, robotic.
No, it's the big slut. You judged me, but that would be amazing. And can you imagine 15 just trying to justify the big slug to like Victorian England? Well, no, they wouldn't care in the past. They'd be like, yep, big slug. Think I read about those in the African colonies, and that'd just be it, you know?
This is George.
This is George, yeah. Sorry, we spoke over the moment, but I saw how it should have ended, where he just went to like a different sun and burned it up. It was like, sorry, that. But no, we mentioned that like the walls were closing and whatever, you know. I've also got a sick joke in 2 seasons that calls back to this. There's another scene on this beach, and I get them confused. Mickey's like, man, I came to Norway for this. No, why was I like that? Norway's a fun place. Just go on vacation. It's like, sweet, I got to go to Norway.
After the morning on the beach.
Not like anything could go wrong, though. Just like a calm... Time to be alone now.
Right.
You're not Martha. No, Donna, we're not ready for you. Go away. This is Rose time. We're not ready for you yet, Donna. No, yeah. So yeah, bear in mind, Donna's got the Christmas special now. But because, remember, the next episode is The Runaway Bride, not Smith and Joan.
Yeah.
So some people realize that on the really bad streaming services that they skipped an episode when they're like, so did that like not go anywhere? Did they drop that? What happened? Because we pick up somewhere totally different. And they're like, no, Amazon, yeah, no, you gotta go over there. But the annoying thing is when I did it, Amazon had episodes like that as part of the series where you'd notice if they were missing. And so I saw the like 3 plot critical ones. I saw someone who skipped Christmas Invasion. So it's like, did we just kind of accept that? Like, we just got, everyone seems cool with David Tennant now. It's like, no, you got it. But no, what you think of the Dot and Bubble Slug Companion? I do want the show to have that kind of drive, but creativity.
Yeah, something different.
Doomsday, more relevant to the plot, because that's what people come here for, clearly. It's the episode.
It was pretty good.
But in season 2, the weakest of, probably honestly until at least like season 7, the earliest. I don't know, season 8 might be it for me. Though I'd really have to look. It might even be the weakest till the 13th Doctor. Obviously, you just have season 1 and 2, though. I assume you liked season 1 better. Maybe you didn't, though.
I think I liked them I like them both pretty equally, but I do think that season 1 was.
That's a take.
I think season 1 was higher quality, but
Yes.
I do like David Tennant a lot. That was the Doctor that I started with and mostly
Really?
remember.
You didn't even do
Yeah.
Eccleston?
Oh no, I did do Eccleston.
Yeah.
But
I get it. I was there
Yeah.
too. It took a few viewings. I said before, every time I watched Eccleston, and the more I gain, if we do watch the classics, or like you do some Big Finish stuff, I would encourage you to go back to Eccleston, because the more you understand
I loved
the character.
Eccleston this watch through. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but the more you go through, the more there will be an Eccleston every time. Doesn't matter. Even if you've never seen anything new, you'll probably notice new things.
I think the first watch through of Doctor Who, once I got to David Tennant, I basically threw season 1 in the bin.
Yeah, he just wasn't around for me to get attached enough the first time as a kid. But season 1 on a technical level is much better. It's probably the best season on a technical level. Just it has its story, it tells it. Yeah, I don't hate season 2 as much. I was gonna say as most people. I honestly don't know if season 2 is really hated. It's remembered for Fear Her, for Love and Monsters. Honestly, it's remembered for that. And then there's like, hey, that Satan pit was real good. But if you ever mention season 2, people bring up that was a real bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
It falls for a bit because as I said, I understand why Rose could be so significant to the Doctor compared to other companions, but the more you hear other companions, and I think especially if you start to get into the EU, where they can become a bit more like, you know, you have these random people you've never seen, or there's this person from the books, but I've never read the books, so that they just assume I know who the person is. They can feel a little less special, but maybe part of that is also just they aren't special. They're like generic modern day teens from London, the greater London, greater England. Some of them aren't from London. But it's one whenever I go through the watch through. I don't skip episodes until Capaldi. Hot take. But it's one where I'm like, it's a bit of a get through. It's the case where the last season was really good, and you can think of all the things coming up that you're excited for, especially in other Doctors, where you know that they just feel further away. You're like, I gotta watch The Idiot's Lantern first, though, which is good. We liked it, but it's not like, oh man, did you see The Idiot's Lantern? You know, it's like, it's a bit of a, and honestly, I kind of feel that way about seasons 2, 3, and 4, with the caveat, it's weird, with the caveat that 4 actually does have a lot of good episodes. I actually didn't get through it, though, for the 60th, which you probably know has David Tennant and Donna. This is their season, and I think I did half of the library one, and then I never finished.
Library one. I love that one.
Oh, it was good. I don't know. I was just up against the clock a bit. I didn't have the drive to go in and finish because I knew the stories for some reason. I don't know. But I've looked before on the stream. Season 3's got a lot of... it's still got hit and miss. The Lazarus Experiment. It's got episodes I like more than most. Daleks in Manhattan. Blink. I mean, Blink is in this one. Human Nature. Yeah, season 3 and 4 are ones I look at and I actually go, okay, it does have, like... Honestly, basically half of this season is a classic. Human Nature, Family of Blood, Blink, Utopia, Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lords is probably like the single best stretch of episodes you get in the Russell T Davies episode. And even then, 42 isn't that bad. It's like the predecessor, you know? 42's not bad. I know, Chibnall. Oh, you're gonna meet Chris Chibnall.
Oh, that's gonna be something.
Yeah, you will think that I'm abusing a poor man. Just a poor innocent man when you watch 42 and go, really? Like, because as I said, 42's actually, it's just a little annoying that it's not real time. That is the problem with 42. That is like the only complaint I have. And, you know, that's a nitpick.
Yeah.
And also, because we're watching the American version, it's not even 42 minutes. It's like 45. Yeah, it's a 47-minute episode because it's 4% slower. So that would have been funny if it was a real time. But you're like, this is 47 minutes. But no, we'll start just next week with One Way Bride, because of course it's Christmas next week. We've got to recognize the occasion.
Absolutely.
If you aren't watching this live, you might want to check the release date on this video to get the punchline. But yeah, you know, it's Veterans Day, Christmas. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, it's real convenient that they just line up like that. You know, like it was Christmas for the last special. It's Christmas for this special.
This one.
It's gonna be Christmas for the 15th.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's 15, thankfully, because it didn't
right.
fall. Where does Christmas break it up? Because that's what the live audience wants to do. So 1, 2, assuming we don't miss a week. Yep, there's my two-parter. You know, it's the Lazarus Experiment. So it's Lazarus Experiment, Christmas special, 42. I could think of I wouldn't have placed it there.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a two-parter. It's just the worst episode of the season, easily. Actually, for all the shit I just gave this season, the Lazarus Experiment is the only bad one.
Huh.
It's Martha. It's just Martha's such a nothing burger. Entirely not because of her fault. We'll do our reviews. I don't want to taint your perception. A lot of people really love Martha. All of those people will tell you that the show wasted her. But we actually disagree, though. I agree that Martha's like a nothing burger because the doctor's Rose. But a lot of people, she is actually a doctor, Martha Jones. Well, a medical student, but yeah, so not actually a doctor yet. But, you know, a doctor, informally. And they say, like, the show never uses that. I'm going to call BS. We're going to watch out for that, because, no, she does. Like, whenever doctor-y things come along, she behaves like a doctor. She does doctor things. She has her knowledge. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's not, like, walking around with one of those forehead mirrors. But, like, she uses her character trait of doctor, you know? And it's a big... It's a good season. I think I underrate it, though, because by this point I'm well into Russell T Davies, especially the Week season 2. And I've said before, Davies does a lot that I like and a lot that I don't like, and the things he does well and things he doesn't do very well to me. The things he does well are the things you tend to remember looking back, those character arcs, those stories.
Yeah.
The things he does less well are just the things you forget about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now when I'm in there, I'm remembering the things I don't like more and going, Moffat doesn't do that. Because Moffat has his own problems. Don't get me, I'm not one of those Moffat grader. They complement each other real nicely, which is why things like Boom and The Empty Child, like all the Moffat stories are good. Even Girl in the Fireplace, which is the one I'm less keen on.
Yeah, I liked, yeah.
Yeah, because like their strengths and weaknesses are kind of inverted, essentially. It's a little more complicated than that, but I hear my wife getting home, so I should probably wrap it up there. I will say thank you all very much for watching. We could have watched the Christmas special as well with this time, but we had to talk about how the Imperial system was better.
We did.
Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.